Welcome to Dragon Magic episode 2. Hello, I am Ray. So, today we're going to be diving into light language, light codes, the various forms that they take, and how we can connect with our own unique light codes. So, I also want to talk about a grounded approach to manifesting when working with dragons, when attempting to shift your reality to something different, especially if you want to see big dramatic changes. There are ways you can do that, so we're going to get into that. So first, let's talk about light language. So what is light language? Light language is your soul remembering from whence it came. Your soul will speak what the heart remembers when you allow your mind to get out of the way. So we have to use our brain to think, to speak, to form words. We have to remember how to structure sentences. We have a whole dictionary in our brain of words to choose from. So when we're using light codes, when we're actually channeling through our heart chakra rather than through our brain, we can access a unique language that is unique to us based on our soul experiences, where our soul is from, what we've been through, how we've evolved, the path that we've taken. It's also interesting to note that there are different dialects of light language. So this is something I've noticed as I've worked with light codes for about almost 20 years now. I've worked with light language and I've heard other people speaking it, and I've spoken it myself, and my own light language has not changed much, actually, although I have gained access to new channels, new dialects of light language connected to different aspects of the collective consciousness and of my own soul. My natural dialect that comes through is still pretty similar to what it was almost 20 years ago. So just that to say that when you first develop your own light language, it's like you'll find the root of it's like a root language that you'll develop, and then from there you'll be able to expand. And somehow, like I was saying a moment ago, from what I've learned in all my years of listening to different people's light language and helping people activate their own light language and channeling light language for other people on behalf of their higher self, in all these hundreds and hundreds of people that I've worked with, I've noticed a few patterns in the way that different light language, we'll say collectives, sound. So if there's a specific sound from souls that are from certain places. So like with the draconian souls, I've noticed that their light language is usually similar to like a dragon, Slytherin type light language. And the Pleiadians, for example, theirs has a specific tone to it, like a rounded tone, and a lot of like specific like L sounds, like le le li la ru lu le ba. Pleiadian is interesting, and then there's also different rhythms to different light language from different soul groups. There's different rhythms. So some of them, so for example, the Anunnaki sound one way. They sound kind of tribal, but they sound different than like a Native American tribal, and they also sound different than like a dragon tribal, but it sounds very close. So I would say like an Anunnaki is like a Anun Tokel Ta Amen Tual Let Luru Nantun. That's more Anunnaki. And then there's Dragon Tribal, which is like Freshe Latrem Frum Poatheth Den Drekatre Litrian Duth Therufueren Thalethian. And then there's like Native American tribal, which is way different. It's like Ul elawet elambas Ul and alemual Eduqualash Equarafum Heluandai and Tauelawana. Okay, so, and then while I'm channeling those different dialects, my body does different movements for each one as well. So I'm channeling the energy through my body, and that's the kind of the key to channeling light codes, especially if you want to tap into your own unique soul language and not just like channeling a dialect from somewhere else, but finding your own. It's definitely important that you can relax your body to a new level. It's like you're pulling in relaxation in through your crown. Even right now, my crown is buzzing. The very top of my head and the back, actually. So you're pulling in peace, trust, surrender. You're letting go of any tension as you take some deep breaths, and you're pulling that in to your actual tongue and your jaw and your neck. And that's okay if this takes some practice. It took me a lot of patience with myself to be able to access mine when I was about 18 years old, because I had access to it when I was a young child, and then the parents thought that it was some sort of evil language, and so they made it a big deal and said I could never speak in that language again. And so I had this block that I had to really work with and work through to eventually find my light language. But it's been an amazing journey since then, and it was absolutely worth the wait. I remember that people around me were quote unquote speaking in tongues. I was involved in the church, and I did not resonate with all the different dialects of people speaking in tongues. To me, it felt forced, it felt fake, and I'm not saying that it was, but that's just what it felt like to me. It felt that way, and I couldn't get into it because of that. It didn't feel authentic. I had my own activation with my own light language in private, or like midnight one night, after months and months of journaling about it, asking God, the source, the universe, for this gift, and aligning myself with it and attempting to speak it. I would turn on meditation music, and I would start humming and try to see if anything else came out, and then eventually something did. So it was a great experiment. It taught me a lot. So it's not to say, so back to the dialects. Let me just take a sip of water here. Light language also comes in different forms. So it comes in different forms, like in body movement, in definitely obviously music, in like hand and finger and movements, in it can happen with um yeah, it can happen with just verbal speech, just talking. Like, it's one of those things where, like, let's say there's a language barrier and you think you're speaking, well, you're speaking your language. The person listening to you who doesn't speak your language is hearing it in their language. That's a beautiful thing that happens sometimes. So, light language is a very personal tool to connect with yourself. If you're wondering, like, what's the point? Why would I want this? Why would I want to do this? Why does this matter? How does this affect me? Well, especially as a neurodivergent person, light language is something that really opened me up to what I was actually feeling. It opened a channel for me to express something that I couldn't understand, that I didn't have any mental box to put it in. There was no relevant experiences to match it with. So as something completely foreign, it was difficult, and creative energy pent up inside me, and emotions, and some of it from this life, some of it maybe from past lives, passed down generational trauma. But regardless, the light language gave me a creative outlet. And I didn't start recording any of my light language for a good 10 years. I just spoke it for myself. It was always just for me. It was something I used when I was feeling really, really low. If I could not figure shit out, I would just use it to like snap myself out of it. I would use it when I was really overwhelmed emotionally, like just really like feeling like anxious or worried or just like anxious. Yeah, I would use it then, and I would use it when I wanted to stir up the energy. If I felt stagnant, I would use it when I felt lonely, when I felt overstimulated, and I didn't know how else to express myself. There's so many times I've used it for self-regulation, emotional regulation, but also physical regulation, like walking around and just kind of stimming and like tapping my feet in weird ways and moving my fingers and my hands and my body, and just like, you get it if you get it. It's therapeutic. And we all need tools for self calming, self healing, self regulation that actually work. So, light codes, yes, it sounds a little extra woo woo. It's a little intangible. It's one of those things where it's like, okay, what is this actually going to do? But when you think about the body as resonance rather than physical substance, when you think of the body as vibration, it starts to make a little more sense. Our voice is literally a tuning box. Everything that comes through our vocal cords vibrates into our body. I can feel it happening while I'm talking about it. Everything we speak of, all the beauty, and that's what we're going to focus on right now, because that's all I want to amplify in my life. All the beauty, all the ways that things work out, all the abundance, all the ease of living. So everything we speak, it literally echoes into our body and creates our physical health. It creates our frequency. It creates our magnetic point of attraction. So the more that you can verbally affirm the things that you desire, the things that you want in your life, rather than speaking of the things that make you unhappy, the quicker you will see, the more you can discipline yourself in your speech, the faster you will see your manifestations come to fruition. So, light codes are really, truly, they're a key. They are a key to success, a key to prosperity, a key to health. They're a key to, it's like a shortcut in a video game. Like if you have this key, then you get to like avoid all the long lines for things. You get to go to the fast lane every time. This key will help you transmute any obstacle into a stepping stone fairly easily. This will help you regulate your nervous system and your emotions. It'll help to braid your new emotional state of being that you're calling in. It'll help braid that into your physicality. Wow, powerful stuff. So if you are having a hard time doing this on your own, I am having a workshop. And if you've made it this far into the episode, then I'm happy that you're here, and it seems that we may have something to offer each other. So the workshop is April 25th. It's on Zoom. There's going to be a limited number of guests, and it's only $55 for a 2-hour workshop. And if you subscribe for $11 a month to my website, and you get exclusive access to blog posts and different content, but you'll get to go for free to the workshop. So it's a Dragon Magic Light Code Activation workshop. So it's basically everything we're talking about having your own light code language. It's an activation for that to assist those who are ready, who have done the necessary. It's not about if you've done the necessary work. It's those who are ready to go to that next level. It doesn't matter if you're brand new to light codes or if you've been trying to tap into your own light language for a while. Either is fine. You will definitely be benefited by experiencing these activations, guided meditations, and also some like instructions from the dragons that have been coming in about accessing your own unique magic. So very exciting. All of that information, more of that's on my website. You can register directly on my website. So also, let's talk a little bit more about the symbols. So light codes, a lot of people experience them as symbols. So some people will literally see the symbols in the sky. When they look up, they'll see symbols. They'll see like a grid over them, around them, like the dome. Multiple people have described that. Some people will see symbols in their dreams. Other people will draw and write symbols. They will paint them. I've seen so many beautiful artwork and artists using light codes in their work lately, and it's just, I love to see that. But the symbols are definitely unique as well, because each person who's writing these symbols, you're just channeling them. You're not using your brain. You're just letting your hand do the work. And it's interesting, as I've observed over the years, like I said, I've been doing this a long time. I've seen so many very cool synchronicities and patterns in the symbols that are channeled. You start to see certain symbols that repeat themselves over and over and over. And even in my own light codes, I have many different styles of handwritten light codes that I do. Some of them are like script. Some of them are, I can tell they're like more angelic code. It's really fun and cool, but you can start to also see the themes and the patterns when you observe these light codes over and over and over. Especially like if you do have a journal where you keep your own written light codes, it's very interesting if you flip through it and kind of see the patterns, and take note of like, okay, maybe different patterns are related to your emotional state when you were channeling the light codes. But also they could be just a different part of your consciousness that you were channeling in that moment, or a different entity or collective that you were channeling. That's why it's important when you are just beginning to not be too concerned with trying to interpret the symbols or interpret the light codes, the spoken light codes. The important thing is channeling them, allowing them to come into your body and dance and move and let them flow through you. Your brain will catch up later. Don't worry too much about having a logical, practical understanding of them. That's not what's needed in the beginning. In the beginning, you're learning to feel them. You're learning to tune in and to process, and you're allowing them to integrate and to become part of you. And then a lot of the times the meaning will come later. Sometimes it won't, and you won't even think of it again. It'll just be an in the moment experience, and you don't need to think of it again or reference it again. It was meant to do what it did, and it did the thing, and now you're here now in this present moment doing this thing. So it is definitely about letting go of any attachment, and any expectation. It's the purpose of enjoyment and experiencing. So I believe in you, and I'm really glad that you're here. Glad that you tuned in for this little light code, Dragon Magic light code episode. It is definitely one of those topics where I don't hear it talked about quite as much as other spiritual topics. So I'm hoping that this can provide some insight for anyone who is working with light codes and light language. And I would love to work with any of you who are interested in the workshop, or if you want to book a session with me one-on-one, you can always do that. But the group workshops are so fun. They're so powerful. It's always just such a cool experience with each unique group that comes through. It's always divinely guided who is there and the exact group of people that show up there together. It's very cool. And like I said, it's April 25th. So you've got a couple weeks to decide if you want to participate. And if anyone has any questions, you can reach out to me. My email is on my website, whitewolfwisdom.com. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time.